This week, we're at the IRONMAN 70.3 Ireland in Galway. Follow former Boys Own star Keith Duffy on his second half-distance Ironman. And revisit Chrissy Wellington's fourth Hawaii win in 2011. Located on the River Corrib between Loch Corrib and Galway Bay, the Western Irish city of Galway is known as Ireland's cultural heart and renowned for its vibrant lifestyle. Offering a multitude of pubs, shops and restaurants, Quay Street is the tourist centre of Galway. But the city also boasts some impressive architecture and the imposing cathedral. Former Boys Own pop star Keith Duffy is in Galway for the second year to once again tackle the IRONMAN 70.3 as part of Team Duffy.
The reason I first started the Ironman, or started training for an Ironman, was basically all to do with charity work. For the last 10 years I've been campaigning for autism awareness and also for funds to be able to set up the specific needs that children with autism need.
Keith, whose 12-year-old daughter is autistic, is joined by his coach Matt Byrne and other Irish athletes and celebrities, and he's looking forward to the challenge.
I don't want to ask anybody to do something that I'm not prepared to do myself, so I had to do it this year again. And I'm delighted now that I did. I hadn't got as much time to train this year as I did last year, so I was worried about my fitness levels, but having done a swim this morning, I'm really happy now, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. A lot of people that are generally fit anyway, they would probably finish a half Ironman, but they won't enjoy it as much as they would if they put the training in. You know, I would probably finish it without too much training, but it would be sore. My body wouldn't be in good condition afterwards. The thing about me is I'm very mentally strong. Sometimes I'm not as fit as I should be, but my mental strength gets me through what I need to go through.
Although committed to the charitable cause, Keith is not a natural triathlete.
I do this for charity, I'm going to be honest. I enjoy cycling, I don't enjoy to run. I've got bad knees, so I don't enjoy to run. The swimming is obviously all new to me, so I enjoy to do it in my own time, not competitively.
But he still wants to improve on last year's finishing time.
Last year it took me 5 hours and 52 minutes to compete, or to finish. Tomorrow I'd like to do it in better time than 5 hours 52. Tomorrow I'd like to finish maybe 5:45. If I did any better than that, I would be absolutely delighted.
With a clear target in mind, Keith knows that it will all be worth the effort once he crosses that finish line tomorrow.
When you get there, you don't want to go back again, you know? And it's difficult for people in Ireland because we like to drink a lot, you know? And alcohol is not good for this type of training. So I haven't drank too much over the last few weeks, but tomorrow after the Ironman, I'm going to have a lot of pints of Guinness.
It's the day before the race, and age groupers and pros use the time to test the choppy and cold waters of the North Atlantic during the official swim practice. Together with her teammate Bruno Clerbeau, the favourite for the women's title Tina Deckers also goes for a training swim, knowing only too well that it's not her strongest discipline.
I'm always a little bit anxious with the swim start, and now the last swim in Wiesbaden I did a really good swim, but the first couple of 100 meters I'm always a little bit afraid, and I'm not a swimmer.
Despite the tough competition, Irish pro Emma Mullen has her eyes on a podium finish.
Well, I'd definitely like to podium here. The win would just be absolutely brilliant. I really would love to win this race just because it's a home race, and it would just feel amazing to win in Ireland.
Newcomer Natalie Barnard also hopes for a place on the podium, but she knows she's got to start the race really well.
It's probably the swimming that's going to be my forte, so hopefully I can get out sort of top girl there, hold my own on the bike, and then my run's my weaker. That's what I've got to focus on, but I've just got to give all I can to the finish.
I want to win the race tomorrow. I don't think the competition is that hard in the women's race.
Favourite Tina Deckers, definitely full of confidence. At the bike check-in, Terenzo Bozzone, fresh from his 70.3 win in Brazil, is clear about his race tactics.
The longer the distance, the more important it is to stick to your race plan. As soon as you start changing your plan and going with other guys, it's a recipe for disaster. I really feel strongly that mentally I've stepped up and I'm back in my zone. I mean, there's a couple good competitive athletes here. The guy who won last year, Mike Agro's.
Defending champion Agro, however, is already focusing on the world champs in Hawaii. This year, I decided to use the 70.3 races only for the preparation and to get into the rhythm. Clearly, a direct confrontation with the 70.3 specialists will be difficult for me because I lack a little bit of their speed. A man with a lot of speed is Switzerland's Jan van Berkel, who's just recently transitioned from the Olympic distance. Last year's winner Mike Egros is a good friend of mine. We know each other from training camps and the time we spent together doing the short distance. And I'm looking forward to be starting against him, and I want to challenge him. And at the last minute, former world champion Terenzo Bozzone also is on the start list, so this is definitely going to be a good indicator of where I'm at, and I'm looking forward to it. Jan van Berkel, Terenzo Bozzone, or Mike Egro, who will be the 2012 champion? It's 5:30 in the morning, and the first athletes arrive in transition to do their final bike preparations. Like everyone else, Terenzo Bozzone is happy that the weather has improved dramatically from the day before.
Yeah, the weather's looking like it's holding out. The wind's died down, rain's gone away, and the water seems really smooth. So I'm just going to go out and see what I got.
Young podium contender Georg Potrovic is at his bike, ensuring that it's race ready. You test if the tire pressure is right. They should be about 8.5 bars. Check that the gears work without grating. These technical things you check, and you check again. English pro Natalie Barnard already has her thoughts on the swim, her strongest discipline.
I want to make sure I'm sort of on the end of the men, because that's probably the only goal I'm going to get on the swim. And then on the bike, just, you know, push a good gear. Hopefully the roads aren't too wet, so just sit into rhythm as quick as possible.
While Ireland's Emma Mullen struggles with some technical problems, favourite Tina Deckers is ready for the race.
I know that the Irish girl is quite good, but I think she's not a good swimmer as me, so maybe I can be in front and stay there. That's the plan.
Amongst the 1,200 triathletes immersing themselves in the morning atmosphere, Keith Duffy is getting ready for the challenge ahead.
It's early, so it's nerves-wracking, but the sea is very calm. It's a lot calmer than yesterday, so yesterday was a tough swim. Today might be more enjoyable. You know, the people that are up early this morning is great, you know. The whole place, the whole promenade is lined with people supporting everybody that's taking part, so, you know, it's a great vibe. It's good to be involved and it's good to be a part of it, you know.
It's a deep water start with age groupers and pros starting in separate waves of around 300 to 400. Unlike the day before, the sea is calm and measures 14 degrees Celsius. The 1.9 kilometer swim course starts next to Black Rock and follows a route parallel to the land before heading back to the swim exit at Palmer's Rock. The race is on, and the first wave of 1,200 age groupers throw themselves into Galway Bay a few minutes after the pros have started. It's an impressive sight as the calm seawater is transformed into a frenzied washing machine. Now, there is no turning back. At the front of the field, the competitors quickly spread out, and Jan van Berkel is the early pacemaker. It's definitely going to be a fast swim. At the first buoy, Van Berkel is a few meters ahead of the chasers, and as the young Swiss keeps up the relentless pace, a chase group with Mike Egro tries to keep up with him. But only Terenzo Bozzone manages to stay with Van Berkel, and together the two power ahead. As Keith Duffy and the other age groupers fight their own battle in Galway Bay, former 70.3 world champion Botsone now leads Van Berkel. The pace is still frantic and speeding along at 1 minute 18 seconds per 100 meters. These two are on course for a fast split. Exiting the water, Botsone is only a few steps ahead of Van Berkel, and now both of them look to get through the long run to transition as quickly as possible. The chase group with Egro, Potrebic and Clerbeau follows around a minute later, and Botsone and Van Berkel really are shoulder to shoulder. Terenzo Botsone leaves transition first, and after the swim he's got a 2-second lead ahead of Van Berkel, with Potrebic, Egro and Clerbeau following about a minute later. Out in Galway Bay, the race is still on for most of the competitors, and the first woman to exit the water is 25-year-old Natalie Barnard from England. As hoped, she holds the lead after the swim, but she knows that the women behind her are strong cyclists, especially Tina Dekkers from Belgium. After the swim, however, Barnard holds a lead of 2 minutes 30 ahead of Dekkers and third place Carla Henderson from Canada. Cheered on by the Irish crowds, the remaining age groupers forge forward, battling the clock and the elements. A sea swim is never easy, but the weather conditions are ideal, and even the sun greets some of them as they exit. After an hour, Keith Duffy also comes out of Galway Bay, and the 37-year-old looks relieved to have finished the swim.
It took me a long time, but I'm over it now. It's done. That's the hardest part for me over. At least on the bike I can grind it out, on the run I can grind it out. I'm not trying to beat any records, I just want to finish and get over that finish line and celebrate, you know, job good, well done. So
now it's onto the bike course for Duffy. The 90-kilometre bike course leads from Galway to Mam Cross and back, and with only 500 metres of climbing, it's a fast course. Up front, 70.3 world champion Botsone powers ahead, but Switzerland's Jan van Berkel quickly catches up with him and sets the pace at an average speed of 41.10 kilometers per hour. Van Berkel looks strong, but Botsone stays right behind him. This could be anybody's race. At the 12-kilometre mark, Van Berkel's lead over the chasing pack of Clerbeau, Egro and Potrebic is 1 minute 15 seconds. Can the three chasers catch Van Berkel and Botsone? In the women's race, Natalie Barnard is in the lead after the swim, but the relatively inexperienced Brit isn't the strongest on the bike. And she knows that Tina Dekkers is out to get her. The inevitable happens only a few kilometers into the ride as the Belgian flies past Barnard and takes control of the race. At the 12-kilometre mark, Dekkers has already established a lead of 1 minute 26, and after her recent altitude training, the Belgian looks strong. With almost no wind and even some untypical sunshine, hundreds of age groupers enjoy their day out on the Galway bike course, and Keith Duffy is also happy he's on his bike. Setting a good pace, he is through 12 kilometers after a good hour and a half, but it's still a long way home. At the front, Jan van Berkel sets the pace, but the flying Kiwi is right behind him. After 78 kilometers, Botsone and Van Berkel are more than 3 minutes ahead of the chase pack. It's a battle between Terenzo Botsone and Jan van Berkel, and as the New Zealander and the Swiss enter transition 2 together, they both know it's going to be an iron war. Will the young contender from Switzerland prevail? Or can the former 70.3 world champion make his experience count? The race is on, and even in transition, they are right next to each other. After the bike, Van Berkel and Botsone lead by more than 3 minutes 30 ahead of Egro, Clerbeau and Potrebic. In the women's race, Tina Dekkers is in complete control and puts down an average speed of almost 41 kilometers an hour. At this point, the 34-year-old Belgian looks untouchable. She arrives in transition with a great bike split of 2 hours and 22 minutes. What a great race by Dekkers so far. With 2 wins already in 2012, Ireland's Emma Mullen is second into transition, but she doesn't appear to be at her best, already trailing Dekkers by more than 15 minutes. Out on the bike course, along with all the other age groupers, Keith Duffy has settled into his rhythm, spurred on by the charitable autism cause that's always at the back of his mind. After the break, who will win the Iron War, Van Berkel or Botsone? Can anyone challenge Tina Dekkers? And how will Keith Duffy handle the final discipline? We are back for the half marathon in Galway, Ireland. It's a flat and fast 3-loop 21.1 kilometer run along the Salt Hill Promenade out to Clarachkey. Onto the final discipline, and still it's Botsone and Van Berkel racing side by side. It's as close a race as it can get, and the two are now almost 4 minutes ahead of Clerbeau and Egro. Potrebic is struggling, and the race for third is now between Mike Egro and Bruno Clerbeau. Now Van Berkel has a 16-second lead over Botsone, but the 8-time IRONMAN 70.3 champion stays in striking distance. Meanwhile, Egro has left Clerbeau behind and is gunning for third. Almost 10k into the run, and Tina Dekkers now completely dominates the race and has more than 15 minutes over Emma Mullen. Surely Mullen's title hopes are now over, and the confident and determined Dekkers will run to victory. In third place, a much slower Natalie Barnard, who was in the lead after the swim. On Galway Promenade, hundreds of age groupers are longing for their first of 3 lap bands as Keith Duffy leaves transition to start the half marathon. He is clearly tired.
Tough race today, I don't know, can't get into my stride and my breathing, and I'm struggling.
At the front of the race, nothing has changed, and Van Berkel and Botsone are still shoulder to shoulder. This really is an iron war. A few hundred meters before the finish line, Van Berkel pounces and starts the sprint. He's ahead of Botsone as they fly towards the finish chute. Botsone counterattacks and overtakes Van Berkel. This is nail-biting stuff, and as they sprint down towards the finish line, Botsone looks like the winner. But then, in the final few meters, Van Berkel leaps past Botsone and snatches away the victory. What an intense and epic finish. To win a race in a sprint is definitely the best way of winning, and right now I'm full of emotions. I'm so happy that it finished like it did. On the home stretch, I was 2 meters behind him, and I could see that it could be enough because I had a little bit left in me, and that was enough.
Definitely a little bit disappointed. I thought if I made it in that last 180-degree bend before the finish shoot, I thought that was the key to getting to the finish line first. But yeah, and just he wanted it so bad, and he kept. I could hear him breathing hard the whole way, and he just kept digging and kept digging.
In third place, last year's winner Mike Agro, more than 15 minutes behind Van Berkel and Botsone, but ahead of Klerbo and Potrebic. In the women's field, the lead is still with Tina Dekkers, who leaves second place Emma Mullen no chance whatsoever. A triumph for the Belgian, who wins her second big title this year after her victory in Nice.
It's a little bit special because it's my first 70.3 win. I'm glad that I did it. So yeah, on a course like this, it's definitely for me.
After a tough race, Emma Mullen crosses the finish line in second place. And although in race time she's beaten by age grouper Jennifer Duffy into fourth overall, Natalie Barnard wins the bronze medal in the women's pro field. On the busy promenade, the crowds enjoy the spectacle, and Keith Duffy is almost home. Once again, his mind has prevailed over his tired body. The former pop star steers down the home straight to rapturous applause and is relieved it's all over.
The weather was great, the conditions were great, but sometimes, you know, it's just not there. And I couldn't get into my stride. But I have to say, most importantly about the whole day, every single person that competed today, I loved them. The support, the camaraderie between everybody, absolutely second to none. There's no way I would have finished that today without the support of everybody else that I competed with and against. Just real great camaraderie. You know, it's inspirational to see how human beings can support each other.
Great Britain's Chrissie Wellington is a true Kona legend. After a hat-trick of victories between 2007 and 2009, she missed the 2010 World Championships due to illness. In 2011, Wellington was determined to take back the Kona crown. But 2 weeks before the race, she suffered a terrible bike accident, and suddenly, all hopes seemed lost.
Going into Kona 2011, I really had to modify my expectations. You know, I was severely compromised. I was maybe 60% fit. The swim was incredibly difficult. It was the slowest swim I've had to date. I came out about 9 minutes behind the lead girls. All I kept thinking was, keep your head, never ever give up, and it's a long day. Anything can happen.
And so it did. Chrissie Wellington started one of the greatest chases in Ironman history, and despite her injuries, she made up minute after minute on the leading ladies.
When I overtook Caroline, it was a very significant moment. I took control of the race, but I by no means thought that I had that victory secured. And I dragged myself through those final miles, and I crossed that finish line physically and emotionally spent. I gave absolutely everything I had, mind, body and soul, to that race. And that is why I say Kona 2011 is the proudest moment of my sporting career.
Next week, we focus on the Ironman World Championship in Kona, Hawaii. We look back at the legends of the past and why it's such a special race. And we meet today's stars as we follow the trials and tribulations of Europe's top Ironman athletes during the 2012 season and assess their chances for the ultimate Ironman showdown in Hawaii.